I've blamed everyone except myself.
The moment you stop blaming others, your real life begins.
I don't feel motivated anymore.
You don't need motivation. You need discipline.
I don't think I can do this.
One more step. That's all greatness ever asks.
This challenge is bigger than I expected.
Then become bigger than the challenge.
Sometimes the next step feels uncertain.
Every great journey begins with one brave decision.
We spend a massive amount of our modern lives trying to calibrate, the exact perfect temperature of our surroundings.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean that both literally and metaphorically. Like, think about it for a second.
Right.
You walk into a room, the thermostat is set to 72 degrees. It feels flawless.
Yeah.
But if it drops to like 68, we shiver, we pull our sweaters tight, we complain to whoever's in the room.
Yeah, you go rushing over to the wall to bump it back up.
Exactly. And if it hits 75, we're sweating and frustrated. I mean, we have heated seats in our cars now to prevent the minor inconvenience of a cold leather cushion.
Which is wild when you really think about it.
Right. We have noise-canceling headphones to just actively intercept and destroy the annoying sounds of the world before they even hit our eardrums.
Mm-hmm.
We get groceries delivered directly to our porches so we don't have to endure the terrible friction of, standing in a checkout line.
Yeah, we are a society that is absolutely obsessed with 72 degrees of perfect, uninterrupted comfort.
We really are.
And, well, it makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. I mean, for the vast majority of human history, comfort was synonymous with survival.
Like just staying alive.
Exactly. If our ancestors were warm, fed, and resting, it basically meant they weren't actively being hunted or, freezing to death in a cave.
Right.
The human brain is just hardwired to seek out caloric conservation and safety. We are deeply programmed to view literally any deviation from that baseline as a potential threat.
And that instinct served us really well on the savannah, right? But it seems to have completely backfired in the modern world.
Oh, totally backfired.
Because now we view any deviation from 72 degrees as a total crisis. Like, if we feel a chill, we assume the HVAC system is broken.
Yeah.
If we feel emotional friction, or if a task requires strenuous effort, we immediately assume something is fundamentally wrong with our lives or our careers.
Which brings us to what we're looking at today.
Yes, exactly. Because today, we're stepping into a totally different arena. We are looking at a piece of source material for this deep dive that wants to take a literal sledgehammer to that thermostat.
I love that visual. A sledgehammer.
Yeah, we're diving into a transcript from a fiercely uncompromising speaker named Coach Payne. It's from a Motivational release titled Do Hard Things Every Day.
And it is intense.
It is so intense. And instead of offering tips on how to make life smoother or more optimized, this material is just a raw demand to embrace absolute discomfort.
Right?
So our mission today is to deconstruct this extreme mindset, not just to get motivated, but to figure out the actual psychological architecture behind this kind of extreme accountability.
And I think that's crucial because the rhetoric in this transcript is intensely charged. It's essentially a verbal jolt to the nervous system.
100%.
But our goal isn't just to react to the emotional volume of the speaker, We need to explore the underlying chemistry of this kind of uncompromising rhetoric.
Why it actually works on us.
Exactly. Why does the human psyche sometimes require such a harsh, unyielding mirror to initiate any meaningful growth?
Right.
We need to look past the surface aggression and dissect the structural arguments he's making about human potential.
So let's just jump right into the foundational premise, because he does not ease the listener into this philosophy at all.
No, there's no warm-up.
There's no gentle onboarding. He just states, it hurts, it stings, it may make me a little bit uncomfortable, but I didn't sign up to be comfortable. I signed up to work and earn my keep.
That phrasing is incredible.
It really is. He is taking that biological desire for the 72-degree room and framing it not as a natural instinct, but as a dangerous default path. He views complacency as a total trap.
Yeah, and the phrasing there is incredibly specific. The whole "I didn't sign up to be comfortable" thing.
The signing up part.
Right, that specific verb choice implies a pre-existing contract. It suggests that simply by virtue of being alive, by waking up and drawing breath, you have entered into a binding existential agreement.
A contract you didn't even realize you were signing.
Exactly. The argument here is that the vast majority of modern society has completely misread the terms and conditions of their own existence.
They think it's a vacation.
Yeah, people operate under the assumption that they signed up for a luxury cruise. They believe the ultimate objective of a well-lived life is to accumulate as much leisure and dodge as much pain as humanly possible.
And if you think you're on a luxury cruise, well, any inconvenience feels like a breach of contract.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if the buffet runs out of shrimp or if it starts raining on the Lido deck, you feel cheated by the universe.
Calling the front desk.
You want to speak to the manager of your life. You're like, excuse me, I ordered the easy package.
And that is the exact psychological friction the speaker is targeting. Because if you realize you didn't sign up for a cruise, but rather an active, grueling deployment, the entire context of the rain changes.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, on an expedition, rain isn't a customer service failure. It is just the terrain. It's an expected variable.
It's just weather.
Right. The text draws a very stark boundary between taking the easy way and going to that next level. It frames staying in your current state of comfort as a fundamental failure to honor the active contract of living.
Okay, let's unpack this because it reminds me of the underlying logic of a gym membership, but applied to like every aspect of existence.
Okay, I like that. Go on.
Well, you don't sign up for a gym, pay your monthly dues, and then walk in just to sit in the lobby on a massage chair while drinking a smoothie.
I mean, some people do.
Right, you could, but you are entirely missing the purpose of the facility. You go into that building specifically to locate heavy, uncomfortable objects.
Yeah.
And you lift them repeatedly until your muscle fibers literally tear at a microscopic level.
The microtrauma.
Yes. The physical pain, the tearing, is the required biological mechanism for growth. You have to break the tissue down so it can rebuild denser and stronger.
Right, that's just basic physiology.
But applying that gym logic to the entirety of a human life seems pretty daunting. Like, viewing your entire existence as this relentless tearing of the muscle, is that actually sustainable? Or is it just a fast track to profound burnout?
That is the primary concern most psychologists would raise when presented with this level of extreme rhetoric, honestly.
Because it sounds exhausting.
It does.
Yeah.
If interpreted literally and without nuance, it conjures an image of a person who never sleeps, never rests, and just grinds their central nervous system into dust.
Which we know is terrible for you.
Right. But if we extract the deeper psychological principle, the speaker isn't demanding a state of 247 exhaustion. What he's demanding is a fundamental recalibration of your baseline expectations.
Okay, so changing what you consider normal.
Exactly. It's about adjusting your psychological 0 point.
Let's break down that 0 point concept for the listener. Like, what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, your 0 point is the default state you expect your life to be in. In behavioral psychology, there's a concept called hedonic adaptation.
We get used to things quickly.
We do.
Yeah.
We quickly get used to our environment.
Yeah.
So if your 0 point is absolute comfort, then any amount of required effort feels like a punitive tax.
Like you're being punished.
Yeah, it feels like you are being robbed of your rightful state of rest. Every time you have to work hard, your brain is quietly protesting.
I shouldn't have to do this.
Exactly. But if you shift that baseline expectation to, I am here to work and earn my keep, then discomfort loses its shock value. It's no longer a crisis that derails your whole day.
It's just Tuesday.
Right. When you accept that the baseline of life inherently requires friction, you paradoxically burn out less often.
Because you aren't wasting all that secondary energy just being angry that you have to work.
Yes.
The mental friction of thinking, I shouldn't have to be doing this is unfair, I'd rather be resting, is often so much more exhausting than the physical task itself. Like, the complaining drains the battery way faster than the labor.
Precisely. The burnout is often emotional before it is physical. By accepting the contract of discomfort, you eliminate the emotional resistance. You just do the work.
Okay, so if we accept that the muscle has to tear, and we recalibrate our baseline to accept that life is going to demand this heavy lifting, it begs the question, what are we actually buying with all this pain?
Right, what's the ROI?
Exactly. Because suffering merely for the sake of suffering is just masochism. The source text has to offer a return on this investment, and it does so by defining what a true victory actually is.
Yeah. The text introduces the concept that the struggle itself is a required currency.
And the speaker is incredibly rigid about this. I mean, he insists that a victory is entirely meaningless if it hasn't been preceded by profound hardship.
He has mince words.
He really doesn't. The quote is, "There is nothing you can say that is attached to a victory if you never had a loss." He dictates that the process has to suck and you have to earn it the right way.
And he calls unearned success worthless.
Yes, He goes as far as to label any opportunity or success that is simply handed to you as worthless.
We can view this through the lens of cognitive dissonance and effort justification.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, in behavioral economics, there is a well-documented phenomenon known as the IKEA effect.
Like the furniture store.
Exactly like the furniture store. Consumers place a disproportionately high value on products they have successfully put effort into building themselves.
Oh, that makes sense.
Even if the bookshelf they assembled is slightly crooked and objectively inferior to a pre-assembled piece of furniture, the builder values it more highly simply because they invested their own sweat equity into it.
They spent 3 hours fighting with an Allen wrench.
Exactly. The dopamine response in the human brain is deeply tied to the overcoming of obstacles, not just the acquisition of a reward.
But the tech seems to be taking that IKEA effect and elevating it from particle board furniture to the human soul.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not just about valuing a physical object more, it's about valuing the self.
It is an existential application of effort justification. The text asserts that you are incapable of even comprehending the weight and meaning of a struggle until you are deeply entrenched within it.
You can't just read about it.
No. A fake or unearned victory deprives you of the most transformative elements of the human experience: the failure, the adaptation, and the learning process.
Right.
Consider a mountain climber. If you take a tourist and drop them at the summit of Mount Everest via a helicopter, they possess the exact same view as the climber who spent weeks fighting gravity, oxygen deprivation, and frostbite.
Same view, totally different experience.
Exactly. But the person who stepped out of the helicopter is fundamentally unchanged. The climber, however, has been entirely reconstructed by the mountain.
It's the video game cheat code dilemma.
Ooh, I like this.
Yeah, imagine you are playing a notoriously difficult game. You get frustrated, so you look up an invincibility cheat code.
We've all been there.
Right. Suddenly you have infinite health, infinite ammo, and you casually walk through the final level, destroying the boss in 2 minutes without taking a single point of damage.
This is an easy win.
The ending cinematic triggers, the triumphant music swells, and the screen flashes, you win. But as you sit there holding the controller, the feeling of accomplishment is incredibly hollow. The victory tastes like act.
Because you didn't really play the game.
Exactly, because the game didn't demand anything of your reflexes, your timing, or your patience. The reward architecture of your brain knows it was a counterfeit experience.
And that counterfeit experience often breeds imposter syndrome, which is exactly what the text is warning against when it mentions pretending to be somebody you're not.
Because deep down, you know.
You do. When someone receives an unearned reward, a promotion due to nepotism, a grade they cheated to get, they don't feel euphoric. They feel a creeping paranoia.
They're waiting to be exposed.
Yes, they know the internal character does not match the external accolade.
Which brings up the crucial difference between intrinsic and extrinsic value. The extrinsic value is the physical trophy, the job title, the dollar amount in the bank.
The stuff you can see.
Right. But the intrinsic value is the neural pathways you built, the resilience you forged, the patience you developed while pursuing those things.
The internal architecture.
Exactly. The speaker is essentially saying the physical trophy is just a piece of plastic. The struggle is the actual prize. The victory isn't the destination. The victory is the person you are forced to mutate into in order to survive the journey.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
He says, through those struggles, you will understand who you are.
And it's true, because you don't meet your true capacities in a state of comfort. Comfort conceals our limits.
It hides them entirely.
Yeah. You only meet your true self when you have exhausted all your perceived resources, when you feel you have absolutely nothing left to give, and yet you are forced to take one more step.
When you hit the wall.
When you hit the wall and push through it anyway. That threshold is where identity is actually forged.
Man, if that threshold of struggle is the mandatory meeting place to discover your true self, then we have to confront the uncomfortable reality of who is responsible for dragging us to that meeting.
Which is where things get heavy.
Very heavy, because this is where the source text makes an incredibly harsh, jarring pivot. It moves away from abstract philosophy and just drops the hammer of radical, unapologetic accountability directly onto the listener.
Yeah, this section deals heavily with a psychological concept known as the locus of control.
This speaker literally stares down the camera and says, I blame you for giving up. I blame you for saying you don't have it.
It's a direct attack on excuses.
It is. He looks at all the potential obstacles, all the completely valid, socially acceptable reasons a person might fail, and he sweeps them entirely off the table.
Just clears the board.
Yeah, he states definitively, nothing that is in front of me has anything to do with my destiny. He is entirely rejecting the premise that external circumstances have the authority to dictate the final outcome of a life.
To understand the weight of that claim, we have to look at the spectrum of the locus of control.
Okay, lay that out for us.
It was originally developed by psychologist Julian Rotter in the 1950s, and it measures how much control a person believes they have over the events in their life.
So internal versus external.
Exactly. Individuals with a highly external locus of control believe that life primarily happens to them.
They're just passengers.
Right. Their successes are chalked up to luck or being in the right place at the right time, and their failures are the fault of the economy, systemic barriers, their boss, or their upbringing.
Always something outside themselves.
Always. Conversely, individuals with an internal locus of control believe they are the primary architects of their own fate. And this text is advocating for an internal locus of control so intense, it borders on terrifying.
It really does.
Look at the specific phrasing. Some of these things that are in your way is because you allow it to be in your way. It is a massive indictment of the human tendency to seek refuge in victimhood.
But the empowerment hidden inside that blame is incredibly sharp. It's like a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, if you admit that you are entirely the problem, the sheer logic of that admission means you must also be the solution.
That's brilliant. Yes.
The speaker asserts, I have control, I'm in control, and I won't give up my control. By pointing the finger and blaming you, he is forcefully handing you the keys to your own cell.
And that is the core utility of this mindset. If your failure is society's fault or the market's fault, you are rendered entirely powerless.
You're just stuck.
You are. Your only recourse is to sit in the dark and wait for the world to benevolently decide to change its mind about you. Which, let's be honest, rarely happens.
Almost never.
But if the failure is your fault, you have total agency to change your own behavior.
I conceptualize this like being the captain of a small ship caught in a massive rogue storm.
I like the nautical theme.
Let's be clear, you did not create the storm. The storm is objectively unfair. The barometric pressure dropped, the waves are 40 feet high, your sails are tearing, and the hull is taking on water.
A literal disaster.
A total disaster. But if you let go of the ship's wheel, throw your hands up and scream at the clouds about the fundamental injustice of meteorology, that righteous anger isn't going to stop your ship from sinking.
No, it
You
won't.
still have to grip the wheel and steer into the
The
waves.
physics of the ocean don't care about your sense of fairness.
They really don't, but I need to challenge this because taking this philosophy at face value is incredibly heavy.
It is. It's a lot to ask of someone.
Telling a listener, I blame you, is an intensely difficult pill to swallow when they might be facing genuine, devastating adversity that they absolutely did not ask for.
Real trauma.
Exactly. We're talking about sudden terminal illness, profound grief, systemic generational poverty, or surviving a natural disaster. If someone is sitting in the rubble of their life through no fault of their own, is it really ethical or even accurate for this text to broadly declare, I blame you?
It sounds incredibly harsh.
It borders on toxic positivity or, honestly, victim blaming.
And that is the crucial friction of this entire philosophy. I'm glad you brought that up. Because we apply I blame you to the occurrence of the tragedy itself, it is indeed victim blaming.
Which is dangerous.
Very dangerous. But we have to look closely at what the speaker's actually demanding accountability for. The text is attempting to entirely decouple the words circumstance from the word destiny.
Okay, those are two very different things.
They are. And the speaker explicitly acknowledges the reality of the pain. He says, it hurts, it stings, I got knocked down. He isn't living in a delusion where bad things don't happen.
He's not ignoring the storm.
Right. What he is doing is drawing an immovable boundary at your response to the damage.
Okay. So he acknowledges the gravity that pulled you down, but he is holding you accountable for the decision to stay on the floor.
Precisely. You might be knocked down by a rogue wave that was entirely outside of your control. The damage to your ship is not your fault.
Right.
But whether you stand back up, grab a bucket, and start bailing the water out, that response is the only variable you truly own.
The bailing of the water.
Yes. The blame the speaker applies isn't about the initial injury. The blame is directed entirely at the refusal to rehabilitate. It's a radical cognitive reframing where you refuse, under any circumstances, to let an external, uncontrolled event write the concluding chapter of your internal narrative.
Refusing to let an external event write your final chapter. That provides a lot of clarity.
It separates the event from the reaction.
Right. It doesn't minimize the trauma, it just demands that you outlast it. Right. And to illustrate the sweeping philosophical point about seizing control of your destiny, the speaker does something brilliant.
He brings it right down to earth.
He zooms all the way down from the macro concepts of war and destiny and points directly to one of the most mundane, universally despised objects in human history, the bedside alarm clock.
The alarm clock metaphor is a highly effective piece of rhetorical grounding.
It really is.
It takes high-level existentialism and places it right on your nightstand.
He goes on this incredibly passionate tangent about people who use the excuse, I slept through my alarm clock. And he flips the entire concept of waking up on its head.
Completely reverses it.
He states that the alarm clock is the reason you are breathing and have life in that moment. He is visibly disgusted by the idea that a human being would rely on an external, annoying plastic object to dictate when they begin their day.
It offends him.
It really does. He says depending on something that sucks to get you out of bed is fundamentally flawed.
Let's dissect the psychology of this micro moment, because on the surface, it sounds like he's just giving intense time management advice.
Like a productivity guru.
Right, but it's not about sleep hygiene or productivity hacks. It's a profound indictment of existential passivity.
Passivity, okay.
When he says, you're depending on something to get you out of bed that sucks, he is highlighting the difference between existential reluctance and existential readiness.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about the alarm clock not as a timer, but as the starting gun at a track and field event.
Okay, picture the track.
Right. If you are standing on the track and you haven't trained, you don't want to run, your muscles are cold, and you hate the rain pouring down on you, that starting pistol is a terrifying, intrusive noise.
You want to cover your ears.
You are dreading it. You wish the official would drop the gun so the race gets canceled. But if you have trained relentlessly for 12 months, you know exactly what your body is capable of, and you are absolutely starved for the opportunity to prove it. You are already crouched in the starting blocks.
You're leaning forward.
Your muscles are tensed. You are hyper-focused, just waiting for the crack of that pistol. You do not need the gun to motivate you to run. You only need the gun to give you the official permission to explode forward.
That analogy perfectly captures the internal shift the text is demanding. The alarm clock itself is a completely neutral instrument.
It's just a beep.
It is just a mechanism that measures time. But your psychological interaction with that sound reveals your overarching orientation towards your own life.
It tells on you.
It does. When you reach over and hit the snooze button 3 times, what are you actually communicating to your own subconscious?
Well, you're communicating that you don't want to be here.
Yes. You're communicating a profound reluctance to engage with reality. You are casting a neurological vote for unconsciousness over consciousness.
Wow, a vote for unconsciousness.
You are signaling to your brain, the world I passively observe in my dreams is preferable to the reality I have to actively construct while awake. And that micro decision sets the cognitive tone for the next 16 hours.
Hitting the snooze button as a vote for unconsciousness over reality, that makes hitting snooze feel less like a minor indulgence and more like a tiny, daily betrayal of your own potential.
A betrayal is exactly what it is in this framework.
But again, let's inject some friction here, because I have to laugh a bit at the sheer unbridled intensity being applied to hitting a piece of plastic at 5:30 in the morning.
It is a lot of pressure for 5:30 a.m.
Let's be real about human biology for a second. Sleep inertia is real. REM cycles are real. Sometimes the body is just profoundly physically exhausted. Are we truly failing at the existential game of life just because our biology demands 9 more minutes of rest?
And that is the necessary biological counterweight to this discussion. Physical tiredness is not a moral failing.
Right.
Sleep debt is a measurable physiological state. The human brain requires deep sleep to clear neurotoxins and consolidate memories. You can't just positive think your way out of needing sleep forever.
Literally hallucinate.
Exactly. But let's look at how the speaker navigates around that biological reality. The core theme of the text is your life today is about application.
Application.
The speaker isn't arguing against the clinical need for cellular repair. He is arguing against the psychological habit of retreat.
The habit.
Yes, if you are waking up without a sense of purpose, if you aren't prepared to step onto what he calls the battlefield, then the snooze button ceases to be about physical fatigue. It becomes the first behavioral defeat in a much larger war of complacency.
It's the symptom, not the disease.
Exactly. It's a symptom of a life that currently lacks a compelling why. If your why is large enough, the psychological drive can temporarily override the biological fatigue.
Adrenaline kicks in.
The text explicitly demands that you find something that's going to challenge you. If you have identified a challenge worthy of your potential, the alarm clock stops being a nuisance and becomes a call to action.
So let's assume the listener hears that call to action. They refuse to hit snooze.
They get right up.
They wake up, they take radical accountability for their ship, and they consciously embrace the contract of discomfort. The text then transitions and asks the listener to become, quote, extraordinary.
And this is the part of the deep dive where the source material pulls its most unexpected trick.
Arguably its most profound trick, because we have to look closely at how this specific speaker defines the word extraordinary.
The juxtaposition in this section is fascinating.
It is entirely unexpected based on the tone so far. I mean, throughout this entire transcript, we have been immersed in an incredibly aggressive, hyper-masculine lexicon.
Very intense vocabulary.
We've been hit with words like battle, war, sucking it up, pushing weight, earning your keep, and getting knocked down.
Standard alpha motivation stuff.
Right. And when he starts listing examples of how to go the extra mile, he starts with the expected tropes: working harder than the next guy, getting up earlier, going into the gym and pushing the weight harder, eating cleaner.
All standard issue discipline.
But then, nestled right in the middle of all that iron and grit and war terminology, he drops this question. What's wrong with loving a little bit better?
What's wrong with loving a little bit better?
Yeah.
That single line completely recontextualizes the entire philosophical framework of the text.
It really throws you for a loop.
It does, because up until that moment, you could easily mistake his message for a directive to become an unfeeling robotic warrior who crushes goals, ignores pain, and bulldozes through life.
Just a Terminator.
But that line reveals that his definition of extraordinary isn't one-dimensional.
It proves he isn't just talking about building an impressive resume or a muscular physique. Being extraordinary in this context isn't about being famous or securing a massive bank account or conquering a literal nation.
No, it's much broader.
It is about applying micro-optimizations across the entire vast spectrum of the human experience.
He asks the listener, what's wrong with going the extra mile? What's wrong with us? What's wrong with you? He is pointing out that true excellence is a holistic endeavor.
You can't just pick and choose.
Right. You cannot legitimately claim to be a highly disciplined person if you only apply that discipline to your cardiovascular fitness or your investment portfolio while remaining entirely lazy and reactive in your interpersonal relationships.
Man, I picture it like sitting down at a massive mixing board in a high-end recording studio.
Okay, I can see that.
You have dozens of sliders controlling the different instruments and vocals. A lot of people think being extraordinary means grabbing one slider, let's say, your career ambitions or your gym routine, and jamming it all the way up to maximum volume.
Pushing it to a 10.
Right, but if you do that, you blow out the speakers, the rest of the track gets drowned out, and the song sounds terrible.
It's completely unbalanced.
The text is arguing that being extraordinary means looking at that massive board and choosing to push every single slider up by 10%.
Oh, wow.
You push the gym effort up 10%, you push your nutritional discipline up 10%, and crucially, you push the way you listen to your partner up 10%.
That's the hard part.
You push the way you forgive your friends up 10%. You push your capacity for empathy up 10%.
And that holistic approach requires a substantially deeper well of internal strength.
It really does.
It is relatively easy to be aggressive and focused in a gym environment for an hour. The rules are clear, but it is profoundly difficult and requires immense cognitive control to be patient, present, and loving when you are physically exhausted, stressed about finances, and under pressure.
And that tension is exactly what I want to explore. Because it sounds like a paradox, doesn't it?
A bit, yes.
The text instructs us to let the world know that you're standing on business, which is a phrase that implies setting rigid boundaries, being tough, taking no prisoners, and demanding respect.
Right, it's a very firm stance.
But in the same breath, it challenges us to love a little bit better. How on earth does a person stand on business, projecting unyielding toughness, while simultaneously softening their art?
They appear contradictory on the surface, but I would argue they're deeply symbiotic.
Symbiotic. Okay, how so?
True discipline, The absolute accountability this text has been building toward isn't merely about physical stoicism or enduring pain. It requires a staggering amount of emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation.
Yes, choosing to love someone well when circumstances are difficult, when they have deeply disappointed you, or when your own emotional reserves are depleted, that is a choice that demands extreme mental fortitude.
Because your instinct is to just lash out.
Exactly. To stand on business means you are entirely uncompromising regarding your core values. If one of those core values happens to be compassion, then you must enforce that compassion with the exact same ruthless ferocity that you enforce your work ethic.
Oh, that is fascinating.
You literally go to war against your own selfishness. You battle your own impatience.
Going to war against your own selfishness.
If we think back to the contract of discomfort we discussed in section 1, sometimes the absolute most uncomfortable thing a human being can do is put down their own ego and choose to love someone who is being incredibly difficult.
Wow. The most uncomfortable thing is putting down your ego. That is a massive paradigm shift.
It flips the whole concept of toughness.
We usually think of discomfort as physical pain or sleep deprivation, but emotional vulnerability, extending grace when you want to lash out, that is a profoundly uncomfortable tearing of the psychological muscle.
It's the ultimate heavy lifting.
This realization completely changes the definition of what it means to be a strong person. And that evolution of strength leads us perfectly into the text's concluding thoughts, where it actually redefines the very metrics of human greatness.
Yeah, the source material uses its final moments to explore the outward consequences of this internal shift.
The ripple effect.
Exactly. It moves from personal accountability to the broader social ripple effect.
The speaker reminds the listener that pushing through adversity isn't just an isolated solo mission. It matters most when things are bleak, when people turn their backs on you, when the support systems vanish. But you remain there.
Still working,
still pushing, still honoring the contract. He asks the listener, do you know how powerful that is? Do you know how much inspiration that you instill not only in yourself, but others around you who look to you?
That's the core of it.
And then he drops what I think is the most liberating metric in the entire transcript. He says, you don't always have to be the strongest to be strong, the fastest to be fast enough, the richest to have a rich mindset.
If we connect that to the broader sociological picture, the text is fundamentally democratizing the concept of greatness.
Democratizing it. I love that.
Because modern society constantly bombards us with the message that greatness is a strictly comparative metric. You are only considered great if you are the most great.
You have to be number one.
Right. You have to be number one on the Forbes list, the gold medalist on the podium, CEO of the company. It frames life as a zero-sum game, where absolute measurable superiority is the only valid definition of success.
And this text just shatters that illusion.
It does. It argues that greatness is not an external ranking. It is an internal state of being.
A state of being.
Cultivating a rich mindset has absolutely nothing to do with the numerical balance in your checking account. It is entirely about your internal resourcefulness, your perspective on gratitude, and your absolute refusal to quit when circumstances deteriorate.
So how do we visualize this new democratized definition of strength? I think we can look at materials in nature for the best analogy.
Let's hear it.
If you walk into a forest just before a massive storm and you look around for the strongest thing, your eyes will immediately go to the giant oak tree.
Sure, it's huge.
It is massive, the trunk is thick, it is rigid, and it appears completely unyielding. But when a Category 5 hurricane rolls through with intense chaotic winds, that rigidity becomes a fatal flaw.
It can't bend.
Exactly. The oak tree cannot adapt, so it snaps in half and dies. Now look at a bamboo stalk in that same forest. It doesn't look conventionally strong.
It's skinny.
It's thin, it's hollow, it sways in a light breeze, but when that hurricane hits, the bamboo bends entirely to the ground. It completely yields to the pressure of the wind, flattening itself in the dirt.
But it doesn't break.
No. The moment the storm passes, the tension releases, and the bamboo stands right back up.
It is the difference between rigid resistance and dynamic resilience.
Exactly. The text isn't advocating for oak tree strength, where you just rigidly cross your arms, grit your teeth, and pretend you aren't hurting until the pressure violently breaks you.
Because eventually, it will break you.
It's advocating for bamboo-style strength. You endure the storm, you survive the suck, you allow yourself to be knocked all the way down to the dirt, but you maintain your roots.
You stay anchored.
And you rise back up simply because, as the speaker defiantly says, I'm not dead.
That bamboo-like resilience is the core of his philosophy. And the speaker points out that when you practice this specific type of resilience, you inadvertently become a beacon for your community.
A beacon.
Yes, he gives the directive, be the light, even when there's darkness. Enduring the darkness isn't just an act of self-preservation, but refusing to lay down and surrender. Or, as he beautifully nuances it, if you have to lay down, keep your eyes open, and get up off that ground, you are performing a profound service for the people around you.
Because everyone is watching.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, your family, your coworkers, your children, they are all watching how you handle the storm.
Precisely. Human beings are deeply social creatures with complex mirror neuron systems. We learn how to survive by watching others survive.
Monkey do, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
When you suffer publicly, when you take financial hits, health scares, or personal losses, but you continue to move forward, demonstrating that rich mindset, you are implicitly giving everyone watching you the psychological permission to survive their own shadows.
Wow. Giving them permission to survive.
The text brilliantly shifts the focus. It moves a person from the ultimate selfishness of the victim mentality, which asks, why is this happening to me? To the ultimate selflessness of the warrior mentality, which states, I will endure this so others know it can be endured.
I will endure this so others know it can be endured. That genuinely gives me chills.
It's incredibly profound.
Because it takes the pain that we were complaining about at the start of this deep dive and it gives it a transcendent purpose.
It creates a meaning out of the suffering. And as Viktor Frankl noted in his psychological work, suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning.
And that brings this incredible exploration full circle. We started by looking at our modern obsessive clinging to the 72-degree thermostat.
We really did.
We looked at how desperate we are to avoid friction. And through the lens of Coach Payne's words, we systematically tore down the illusion that perfect comfort is the ultimate goal of a human life.
We realized we are deployed here to work, not to vacation.
Yes, we explored the active contract of discomfort.
And we examined the intrinsic currency of the struggle itself, exploring how the brain's reward centers recognize the difference between an earned victory and a counterfeit one.
The video game cheat code.
Exactly. We realized that the pain is the required purchase price for discovering our true capacity.
And then we confronted the terrifying yet ultimately liberating reality of radical accountability.
Taking the wheel of the ship.
We wrestled with the fact that while we absolutely do not control the rogue storms that batter our ships, we retain absolute, uncompromising control over how we steer the helm in the aftermath.
We redefined the annoying sound of the alarm clock.
From a daily nuisance to a critical test of our existential readiness.
A starting gun, not a punishment.
And we broadened the definition of being extraordinary, moving it past sheer aggression to include the holistic discipline of loving people better.
We pushed all the sliders on the mixing board up by 10%.
And finally, we realized that true strength isn't about being the absolute best, the richest, or the most unyielding. It's about developing the bamboo resilience required to survive the storm so you can become the light for someone else navigating the dark.
It is a comprehensive, deeply demanding philosophy of life. It requires you to forfeit your excuses, but in return, it promises a life of profound substance.
It really does. And so, to you, the listener, who has waded through these intense concepts with us today, you might just be going about a seemingly ordinary day right now.
It's a normal Tuesday.
Maybe you're commuting in traffic, maybe you're doing the dishes, maybe you're out walking the dog. But the architecture of this source material proves that right here, right now, in the very mundane reality of this exact moment, you possess all the raw materials necessary to be extraordinary.
You absolutely do.
You have breath in your lungs, you have life in your body, you have the agency of choice. The alarm clock went off today, and you are still here standing on the battlefield.
The environmental variables are set. The only variable remaining is the application of your will.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. The speaker insists that nothing is worth having if you don't work for it, and that avoiding the struggle is a fundamental betrayal of your own potential.
So look closely at your life.
Take a hard, deeply honest look at the landscape of your life today. Identify the areas where you are currently comfortable. Where is your personal thermostat set perfectly to 72 degrees?
Where are you coasting?
Where have you quietly taken the easy path, avoided the necessary friction, and subtly stopped growing? And ask yourself, is that comfort quietly robbing you of your next great earned victory?
It is a question that demands an honest answer.
It absolutely is. Thank you for diving into the deep end with us today. Stay curious, Embrace the uncomfortable, and we will see you next time.